Alright, and welcome to today's Blender recording. And this one is going to be a bit different. It's about icons and more specific brush icons, which I've been making the previous week, or at least some of the days. So yeah, I'm going to share them with you on Gumroad, and there's going to be a link in the description below. And let's jump into Blender. So what you see here is the model I made for the clone brush. So if I go out from render view, you can see it looks like this. I have a camera over here, which is isometric, no, orthographical. So there's no real perspective. And yeah, tab into the texture paint. You can see here I have a clone icon for my clone brush, but I'm gonna show you what you're gonna do when you download it. So yes, let me just open this file. So I already have all the brushes loaded, so these are the brushes. These four in the beginning are, I'm gonna share the icons but not the brushes themselves, and the same with this one. And that's because this one is based on the orb sculpting pack. So I'm not sure if I can distribute the alpha mask. The same with this one. So, but you get the icon and you can probably recreate them themselves. And like these two and that one are some brushes I think I bought on Gumroad. There could also be like free brushes, but I'm not sure if I can share the alpha. But for all of these ones, you're gonna get the complete icon because I made them myself. So I'm pretty confident of sharing them. Yeah, but when you download it, you can. I'm just gonna turn on screen cap keys. You can press Shift F1 or go up here and Append. And then I have made a collection blend file, so you go into that one and brushes, and then you can press B to box select all these one that are starting with ML, and then there's just a number I'm using when I created them. So you can append all these, or just append the ones you want. And before you append them, make sure to check this fake user checkbox. So if you save that as your default setting, they're not going away the next time you open a blend file. So I'm gonna showcase some of them, and we can actually start from here. So this is one of the last one I did. It's a soft brush. So this is if you change the curve, you get a different stroke. So this is like pretty basic. This is just in the center of the curve, and this is the outer radius. So there are some settings like this which are set by default when you get the brushes, and I think that's good, and you can tweak them however you want them to. But if you, for example, have your own soft brush that you really want to, but you just want my icon, you can just go to your soft brush and check in options, and under here custom icon you can just open and browse for that icon. But if you don't have a soft brush, you can append these mines. And the reason why I renamed them with like ML, which is I have removed it here, is that you can change this number to whatever you want, because it represents a number, hotkey number to change them. So I don't want to mess with that if you have a special order or something. So that's why I put the ML prefix, and you can remove it and put whatever number you want there if you want to sort them yourself. Okay, let's jump to the next one, which is just a brush, hard brush. So this is pretty simple. This texture is pretty low res, so that's why it's a bit jagged. But you've got a profile here for the curve, which you can change. So this one is pretty basic, but yeah, kind of nice to have the soft and a hard brush. Then we jump into the clone brush, which is you can see the 3D cursor here, and then I did like an arrow, which is kind of glowing and also fading away, and then there's like a blue selection here with the clone part. So you just control click anywhere to place the 3D cursor, and I'm using the anchored stroke, and this you can change to whatever you want to, but I kind of like the anchored stroke, and you can set the curve here. That way, to like clone this purple cross from the UV grid, I just click and drag here. But yeah, of course you can use the spaced if you want to kind of paint the. I think I have some weird color. No. Oh yeah. Well, it's a bit weird, the cloning. I hardly use it, but yeah, anchored is kind of nice. So place the 3D cursor with control click and then just left click and drag. And I kind of like this icon also, it stands out. Then we have smear, which is like the basic smear in Blender. And yeah, you can change the spacing to get a more smooth stroke. But yeah, the same thing with the profile curve. So these two eyes are sharpen and soften, so this should be soften because it's kind of out of focus, and this one is sharpen, which doesn't really sharpen. So I'm never using it, but you can try and fix these settings. Yeah, then we have gradient, which is kind of nice. I usually use it like this, from like black to white, and then I usually use it with like a multiplier or something if you want to colorize your model, make like a value gradient. But I'm gonna keep it at mix for this default setting, because usually you make it in you put the gradient in a separate texture file. So I'm just gonna regret some of that. But it's nice to have a gradient. And then we have a fill. So you can see the different here. The gradient has the roller and the fill has a bucket. And that's pretty much like the default are like this, and it's like really hard to tell them apart. But this makes it a bit easier. And then I also, regarding fill, I also added one extra for Craig Jones. So you get your, this should be fill erase. Why isn't it erasing? No textures loaded. Let me see. Oh, right, it is erasing, but somehow it's not updating this in the 3D view. So I have to, can I cancel back? Yeah. So what it's filling with an erase alpha. So he kind of wanted that, and it's the same as the fill, but instead of like filling with blue paint over like this alpha bucket or alpha sphere, it's filling with like erase alpha over a wooden sphere. So that's basically how I treat when I did these icons. I'm using this UV grid as kind of illustrating the alpha layer. And that said, we can jump to this brush, which is let's paint over here so we can actually see the effect. So it's just a alpha erase, which is really a really smooth profile on the brush. So yeah, this one is pretty nice to have if you're like adding textures above and you want to paint away some of the alpha. So I'm just gonna regret all that. And we can jump to the next brush. So this one I saw Max Puliero made in one of his videos. So the effect is going to be pretty hard to see here, but you're getting this brush anyway. So this is drawing procedural veins. So if you go here to the image texture settings and go to our brush, veins procedural texture, you can see that it's a cloud texture. So this one is best to use on like skin texture, so you can't really see it here. I can try and boost it up really much, but no. But you're getting it for free anyway. Then I have one of my flesh brushes, but that's using a texture that I can't distribute, but you're getting the icon, so you can make your own. This one is just a pixel art brush. So if we really zoom in here, you can see that it's just drawing 1 pixel, and that's because this character is actually like one of my pixel art female base templates, so I usually like to have a pixel art brush, because then I don't have to destroy my hard brush every time I want to draw pixel art. So you're getting that one also, and then we're starting to go into some of the more interesting ones. So this is a dirt brush. I'm just gonna load one of the textures you're getting with the download, because these textures are from Unsplash, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can actually use them commercially and distribute them. So the dirt brush, I'm using it to paint like fingerprints. And you can see like on the icon it's really descriptive, like fingerprints and some scratches and grime. So I'm using it to paint that stuff. And this texture is not really super illustrative of that, but yeah. The idea is that you get this texture with the brush, and it's already here in the data image block, it's already pointing at this texture. So what you can do later when you're installing them is, like, if you have your own textures that you made yourself or bought, you can go into this brush and point this one to whatever default texture you want to use. That was the idea behind it. So I'm bundling up some texture you can use. And yeah, this is the orb, just a scratch brush. It's kind of similar to one in the Sculpt, but yeah, I don't think I can distribute the alpha. But if you download the orb brushes, they are for free on blendswap. Then you can just set up this yourself. So you have to, like in texture mask, use the, yeah, you have to make this alpha yourself, I think, invert one of the orb. But you get this icon, and you can use it for your own scratch brushes. Then we have a scatter brush. So this one has airbrush stroke method with it should have random. No, okay, it only has jitter. And the same thing applies here. When you download it and install Append the brushes, you can go here to the image data block and point it to whatever texture you have for debris or foliage. So it should be like PNG transparent images. So then you can just draw them out, and you can tweak the the rate over here. Yeah, but it kind of randomly. I can increase the jitter also, so you can scatter out stuff pretty quickly. Then we have a decal brush. Also one of these where you should like repoint this data, texture data, to one of your own assets. So this one is just an anchored stroke. So the idea is that you put stuff like this, like stickers and decals, and if you have screw and bolts texture, you can just place them out like this, either by using this anchored or changing it to space. And here you can yeah, it should be space. no wait, dots. I'm looking for the one where you can change the rake and randomness. Okay. Oh, right, it's in the texture. So if you're using dots or space, you can change this random. So if you have texture mask of like screws and stuff like that, you can turn on this random. Then it's going to randomly rotate every time you dot out one of your decals. And the next one are these two, which are just stencils. So here I also am using one of this unsplash texture, which I can distribute. So the idea is that you usually have like two of these stencil textures, and instead of like changing the data block all the time here, you can just change the brush up here, or use the hotkey numbers you have assigned. So it's a bit laggy to paint, but yeah. So if you don't have one of these stencil brushes, now is a good time to download this and get one set up for you. So you right click to drag the image around, you control and right click to rotate, and just shift and right click to scale. So it takes a while to get used to, but once you use it, it's kind of easy to use this as a stamp or stencil texture. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And if you have this have these both of them, you can just change quickly like that by pressing one of your number keys. And as I said, if you rename this one, you can make the numbering, sort them in whatever order you want to. So that should also help. And I only made two of these, A and B, but I guess I could make one more if somebody is using more than two stencil. But as I said, you can just point this data block somewhere else, this texture data block. So if I want to paint the stencil out this one, I can just point it to this one and then start painting. So you either do that, but what I did too was so you can quickly just flip between two of them if you're like painting something specific. So yeah, that's all the brushes, and yeah, go to Gumroad. There's going to be a link in the description, and you guys can download it and donate whatever you feel like paying. It's not super important. So they're gonna be for free, and yeah, you're gonna get a couple of extra icons that are not included in a brush. But if you have your own brush, you can always use any of those icons. And those are mostly like the orb brushes, which I'm not sure if I can distribute the alphas. But also like the skin and the flesh icons you're getting, but you're getting no brushes, but you can set up your own ones. So yeah, that was everything I wanted to show you today. And hopefully I'm gonna go back to live streaming next week, probably in the middle of next week, and I have to just be a bit standby for a work thing. But anyways, yeah, and I'm probably gonna look into making a new episode whenever I see something new being added. But yeah, this was what I wanted to show today. Happy blending, and take a look at the Gumroad link below.